Advanced English Arabic Learning Session 18. These might be warehoused for a long time. Be vigorous and make ceaseless efforts. Eliminate any obviously wrong answers. A military coup is looming. Significant barriers to free international trade. To distinguish among the distinct traits. The judges are clerics. The vicarious liability of the employer. My pilgrimage is a vicarious atonement to my grandpa. The omissions of the employee. The international venues. The conviction was quashed. An outright refusal. Logging has been banned outright. The impact killed 4 horses outright, immediately. The plaintiff has no title to the horse. Acceptance subject to contract. The squalid and overcrowded prison. Elephant's trunk. The lights twinkled in the distance. Granny and Grandpa. He draped his arm over the actress. The main focus of his attention. She shielded her face with her hands. Betting in poker. He was being so kind and tender. Tender green beans. He won the world title for the first time in 1981. A local family has title to the property. The job title. He will inherit the title of Duke of Marlborough. To clean the windscreen of her car. Promisee, a person to whom a promise is made. She liaised with the coach on the best approach to deal with problem. Police duty of maintaining order. He returned non-committal replies. Protective goggles. They gave away 2 goals in the first half. The dam gave way when the floods rose. Injury causing his leg to give way from time to time. He outweighed her by more than 25 pounds. The positives outweigh the negatives. In fact, the benefits far outweigh the risks. The pros of having the service outweigh the cons. The principle of perpetual succession. The commencement of business. He is wrong in every particular. To proscribe the terrorist organizations. If you proscribe an organization, you strengthen it. A director is contracted to perform. Particulars of directors' emoluments. Glitches occurred knowingly or recklessly. On the eve of the opening. That is detrimental to the minority. The conclusion of the meeting. It had withstood a siege of 10 weeks. She jumped up and seized his arm. The majority of the votes cast. Unwinding of the contract. Ventilate the greenhouse well. To join with solder. The rapid upward trajectory of his career. A matters of mutual concern. To gauge the star's intrinsic brightness. Many faced heavy fines and the distraint of goods. There is a trade-off between risk and return. To spend the money without compunction. The biannual meeting of the Planning Committee. Terminal cancer. A patient suffering from a terminal illness. He bargained with the city council to rent the stadium. Buy yourself some new duds, clothes. All 3 bombs were duds. He ignored her outraged question. A hotbed of resentment. A complete dud, incapable of even hitting the ball. The sizzling summer temperatures. The bacon began to sizzle in the pan. She maintained a dignified silence. To gain more insight into things. A quick insight into how to become rich quickly. He has far more insight into these matters. With no pretense. The rough seas buffeted the coast. A cold buffet lunch. Turn up the heat. He ratcheted up the pressure. The peaks of the mountains were tipped with snow. The black outer feathers are tipped with white. The hay caught fire when the candle tipped over. A bi-monthly newsletter. She tipped the washing up water down the sink. A tiny hummingbird. They've finished the washing up. A foul odor. Factories that fouled the atmosphere. The sink is full of washing up. A foul, swampy water. We withdrew it from sale. He subscribed the will as a witness. We prefer to subscribe to an alternative explanation. Subscribe to this amazing channel. A wayward adolescent. A diluted solution. The ease of access to different sources. I tipped my seat back, preparing myself for sleep. Using chemical reagents to detoxify the oil. Methods of easing cash shortages. The proposition that all men are created equal. He also has a proven track record in troubleshooting. The salary will be commensurate with experience. A return commensurate with the market rate. We seek for a fairer and more egalitarian society. The access to standby funds. A fairly static market. Discovering her latent talent for diplomacy. Actually, Hawaii is a bit of a sell. A clear and comprehensible English. Vermiform appendix. A fountain pen with an ink sac. Sincerity and earnestitude are underutilized. It must do likewise for its competitors. The tabulated results are an arranged data in tabular form. She has recently been made redundant. The wagons were pulled by relays of horses. A solar-powered relay station. She intended to relay everything she had learned. Such cameras relay live images across the internet. A relay of a performance live from the concert hall. Receive and relay the signals. A cubic room. The diaspora of boat people from Asia. Price would raise or lower the contribution. Winning the lottery set them up for life. Oligopoly means a state of limited competition. Rents are falling in absolute terms for the first time. Retention period has expired. Detention in custody. They used piecework wages. How long will it take to pay back its cost? Levying a tax. Taxes levied by the government on workers' income. Magical powers to levitate out of the city. He enlisted in the army. A conscript army. To alleviate the pain. Double taxation agreement. Progressive taxation. The hypothesis is falsified by the evidence. The car is liable to overheat on long trips. To avoid dilution of control. Reputational risks can be benchmarked. He reverted to his native language. The price is inclusive, with few incidentals. Some enemies are imaginary and some are toothless. All of them must align against the foe. The tiles had slipped out of alignment. A firm famous for its liberal alignment. The synergy between artist and record company. Extractive and manufacturing industries. He would lose his job if he were identified. Transforming hostility into reciprocity. On this very topic, on that very topic. They may face indefinite detention. Body and soul are inseparable. A tiny nation in both territory and population. The abridged statement. I always obey my father. He visited in the guise of an inspector. They met 18 months ago and have been inseparable ever since. Research and higher education seem inseparable. She swindles people under the guise of friendship. Under the guise of business acumen. I work freelance from home. A freelance journalist. Reducing information asymmetry. A genuine attempt. They took cash in lieu of the prize they had won. A 10% service charge is added in lieu of tipping. He gave us an IOU in lieu of cash. Unimproved land means the open space. Parents who have amenable children. Cardiac failure not amenable to medical treatment. His theory postulated a rotatory movement for hurricanes. You never know what might eventuate. An earthenware jug. The paint has been flaking off for years. A letter granting them permission to drink. A research grant. May God grant us health. Philanthropic organizations. A deferment of the lease for 1 month. An auction for small collectibles. Spiraling house prices are a disincentive to development. The bank has agreed to grant the customer an overdraft. She's always been a good daughter, I'll grant her that. He hasn't made much progress, I'll grant you that. The comforts that people take for granted. He has convened a secret meeting of military personnel. The end. Coming next. Session 19.